Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki ISKCON Acharya Prabhupada ki Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Samveda Gaurabhakta ki ISKCON Acharya ki Sashidai Gaurasiddhanata Paramanande Hare Hare. Om Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dharma projita kaitra atra paramaya sanam satam vedam asmavatra shriyanam tapatra unanam Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Morning Class. Ishara Sadya Muridi Avarujate Atra Kriti Vishu Shushivitakshanat. Number? Iti priyam hitam bhakyam bhuva adaya bhupati sampradvamanupana aduhat shakalo shuddhi. Iti priyam hitam bhakyam bhuva adaya bhupati sampradvamanupana aduhat shakalo shuddhi.
Iti priyam hitam vakyam bhuta adaya bhupati vatsam krutva manupana adukhat sakalasvadi.
Mataji's. Thus, priyam, pleasing, hitam, beneficial, bhakyam, words, bhuvaha, of the earth, adaya, taken into consideration, bhupati, the king, vatsam, calf, krutva, making, manu, shayambhu, manu, panu, in his hands, aduhat, milked, chocolate, or oshadi, herbs and grains. Translation. Prabhupada. After hearing the auspicious and pleasing words of the planet Earth, the king accepted them. He then transformed Śrīmad Bhāgavatam into a calf and milked all the herbs and grains from the earth in the form of a cow, keeping them in his cupped hands. Text number 13. Tatapare chashagatra sharam adate buddha tato ye cha chatakamo duduhu prata avidam. Others who were as intelligent as King Prithu also took the essence out of the earthly planet. Indeed, everyone took this opportunity to follow in the footsteps of King Prithu and get whatever he desired from planet Earth. The planet Earth is also called Vasundhara. Vasundhara. The word Vasu means wealth and Dhara means one who holds. All creatures within the earth fulfill the necessities required for human beings, and all living entities can be taken out of the earth by the proper means. As suggested by the planet Earth and accepted by and initiated by King Prithu, whatever is taken from the earth, either from the mines, from the surface of the globe, or from the atmosphere, should always be considered the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and should be used for yajna, Lord Vishnu. As soon as the process of yajna is stopped, the earth will withhold all productions, vegetables, trees, plants, fruits, flowers, others, agricultural products and minerals. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, the process of yajna was instituted from the beginning of creation by the regular performance of jagya, the equal distribution of wealth, and the restriction of sense gratification, the entire world will be made peaceful and prosperous. As already mentioned, in the age of Kali, the simple performance of Sankirtan Jagya, the holding of festivals as initiated by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, should be introduced in every town and village. Intelligent men should encourage the performance of Sankirtan Jagya by their personal behaviour. This means that they should follow the process of austerity by restricting themselves from illicit sex, meat-eating, gambling, and intoxication. If the intelligent men or the Brahmins of society would follow the rules and regulations, certainly the entire face of the present world, which is in such chaotic condition, would change and people would be happy and prosperous. Srila Prabhupada ki. Mukam karati bachalam pangum langai tegirim chakrapa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. If the intelligent men or the Brahmins of society would follow the rules and regulations, certainly the entire face of the present world, which is in such chaotic condition, would change. Apani nar korle dharma shikano na jai eito shitanto Gita Bhagavat Gai. Kaviraj Goswami explains that the eito shitanto, the conclusion of Gita Bhagavat, of the Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, is that apni na korle dharma. If you don't personally practice shikano, your teachings, na jai, will not be successful. Na jai, they do not go. They are not effective. Apni na correlate. If you do not personally practice shikano, your teachings, na jai, are not effective. So, in addition to spreading the Sankirtan movement with our efforts, we also required to follow the principles laid down in the Shastra. And in that way our preaching will be fruitful. Prabhupada mentions that here that intelligent men should encourage the performance of Sankirtan Jagya by their personal behaviour. So we have the transcendental literatures, which we are profusely distributing, but we are not simply book distributors, we are also following what's in the books. And by the personal behaviour, we can also affect society at large. By Sankirtan Jagya and holding festivals as initiated by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. One time, Jagannath Mishra, he called Shachinandan. He called him. He said, "Bring my book. Bring my book." At this time, Shachinandan was very young and not even began schooling yet. He was very young. He was just beginning. Bring my book. 3 years old. 2 to 3 years old. Mishra Purandara. He said, "Bring my book." And hearing the words of his father, Shachinandan, he went inside the house. He found the book that Jagannath Mishra was wanting, and he carried the book, just like Sri Krishna. Similarly, he carried the chopper on his head for Nanda Baba. So, because being Brahmins, Jagannath Mishra asked, "Where's my book?" And Shachinandan, he brought the book. As he was bringing the book, Jagannath Mishra, he heard the sound of ankle bells. Chin, 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 chin. And Shachinandan was running to bring the book. And he discussed with Shachimata, how is it possible? Where is the sound, the sweet sound of the ankle bells coming from? because our child does not wear ankle bells. They were perplexed by this. Then they noticed in their home an extraordinary phenomena that all through the house, because Navadip-dham, Sri Mayapur, at the time of Gaur Prakat Lila, there were no buildings as we know them today, paka buildings, bricks and cement. No, everything was made with clay, mati, clay. The cottages, still in remote places in Bengal, you can see villages where the homes are made of clay. It's actually very wonderful to live in a clay hut, because in the summertime it was very cool, and in the winter time also the clay walls, they retain the heat. So the walls were clay, the roof is the thatched with the grass, the roof, and the floor also is clay. So Mishra, Purandra and Shachimata, they noticed that all throughout the house there were footprints. And on the footprints, they noticed the symbols of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They saw in the footprints there was a flag, a festoon, the head of wheat, the stick which is used for controlling the elephants, a finish, other auspicious signs on the footprints in the house. Seeing these footprints, Jagannath Mishra, he paid obeisances to those footprints. And he commented to Shachimata that, just see, we will be liberated in this life. We will be liberated in this life. This is very significant, because Jagannath Mishra, he is Nanda Baba. He is a Nitya Siddha, he is a Ragatmika, eternal associate of Lord Hare. But because of the effect of Jog Maya, he's thinking he's a conditioned soul. He's thinking he's in family life, entangled. He doesn't know that he's forgetting his eternal liberated position in order to play Leela, in order to reciprocate Leela. On another occasion, after chastising Shachinanda, Jagannath Mishra had a dream, and in that dream an effulgent Brahman said, Mishra, don't you know that your son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is a Jnana Samudra, he's an ocean of knowledge. There is no requirement for you to give him education. In a dream. And in the dream, Jagannath Mishra, he replied, yes, my son may very well be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, but I am his father, and it's my responsibility to give him an education. So as in Vrindavan, where on occasion, Nanda Duhal, he displays his opulence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as on the occasion of eating clay. One day the cowherd boys came back from the pastures, and Balaram said to Jashodama, well, today Gopal ate clay. And Jashodama said, what? Is that so? And Nandadulal, he said, no. I didn't eat that. They're lying. Balaram is ganging up. They're doing conspiracy against me. And they're making these stories. It's not true. And Jasodama said, didn't let us sit. You come here, you sit on my lap. Open your mouth. What did she see when Gopal opened his mouth? What did she see? You can tell us. You can tell. What did she see? What else? Mountains. Yeah, she saw everything. So everything is called the Vishwarup. On occasion, when Krishna displayed the Vishwarup, he displayed to Majasoda. He also displayed in the assembly of the Kurus in Hastinapur. That was partial manifestation of Vishwarup. On another occasion, you see this picture here. You may not know the Leela behind this picture. You see Advaita Goshai. One time, Advaita Thakur, he requested Srimad Mahaprabhu, you show me that form that you showed Arjuna on the chariot. You show me that form that you showed Arjuna on the chariot. And Vishrambar, he displayed the universal form. That's that picture there. So in spite of seeing the universal form, in spite of seeing that, momentarily, Jashodama, upon seeing the universal form, momentarily, Jashodama, she began to become very philosophical. And she thought, why am I wasting my time in household life? I should cultivate self-realization. She thought momentarily. She is Jasodama. She is Ragatmika, eternal associate of Nandadulal in Goloka. She's thinking, I'm in Maya and I should cultivate self-realization. This is called Jogmaya. Jogmaya. In Maya, Jogmaya. She doesn't think he's God. Even he displays his opulence. Kevala Shuddha Prem, Aishajana Jani. In the Vrindavan Prema, Aishajana Jani is called Kevala Prem by Rupa Goswami. Kevala Prem. There's no concept of reverence in Vrindavan. You don't see the gopis bowing down to Nandadula. You know, they chastise him. They play with him. The Gopas, they are wrestling. And Jasodama, she is chasing Nandadula with a stick in her hands. Aishajya Najani, Kevala Shuddha Prem, Aishajya Najani. They do not know, they cannot conceive that Nandadula is a personality of Godhead. Aishajya Dekleo, Nija Shambhanda Shemane. Aishajya Dekleo, even Krishna displays his opulence. Nija Shambhanda Shemane. They cannot forget Nija Shambhanda. Shambhanda means intimate relationship. Shambhanda. So she's thinking, I'm the mother of this child. And even Krishna tries to obliterate that by demonstrating he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Momentarily she's thinking philosophically, and then she says, no, you foolish woman, this is your child. You have to feed your child, you have to look after it. This is your dharma. Nija Shambhanda Shemane. She remembers her intimate relationship. This is called Braja Prem, where the intimacy is so deep that the concept of reverence, Aishajya, cannot enter. And for this reason, Ramna Kachi Upashana Brajabaru Bhagena Chakopita. Ramna Kachi Upashana. Ramna, what is the most pleasing Upashana? The most pleasing worship. Ramna Kachi Upashana, which is the most pleasing worship. Brajabaru Bhagena Chakopita, that which is performed by the residents of Vrindavan, who have no concept of Aishwarya, because in that mode, Krishna can fully enjoy Braja Lila, can fully enjoy Braja Lila. And this gives him the most pleasure. And Braja Vihari, when he's playing as the cowherd boy in Nandagram, in Gokul. Now, if there's a concept that he's Supreme God, then they won't be able to play the part. He will break the pot, he will steal the bata. Jasodama will pick the stick and come out, oh, sorry, you're the Supreme Personality of God, you can do whatever you like. So where's the fun in that? So just as we sang this morning that Shri Gaudamondo Prumi Jeva Jane Chintamoni Tadahoi Praja Bhumibas. Prabhupada comments that there's no difference between Navadip and Braj Vrindavan. There's no difference. Shri Gaudamondo Prumi Jeva Jane Chintamoni. It is the transcendental abode of Lord Hari, the same as Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, the Supreme Lord appears as a cowherd boy to perform pastimes with his eternal associates. And in Navadip, he appears as a Brahmin to perform the Vidya Lila, pastimes in the house of a Brahmin. So Jagannath Mishra, he sees the footprints, he looks at Sachimatra, he says, we will be liberated. We will be liberated. He's thinking he's a conditioned soul. So seeing those footprints, he concluded, he said to Sachimata, he said, Vishwarupamar, Vishwarupamar, O mother of Vishwarupa, you kindly prepare a special offering of sweet rice cooked in ghee. It's called payesh. Sweet rice cooked in ghee. This is you could say the sweet rice cooked in ghee is the essential ingredient of yajna. Just like we're regularly offering every day, Mangalarati. Mangalarati, so auspicious. At that time, Lord Hari has just been served hot milk. Could you imagine 4 o'clock in the morning, hot milk, sweet rice, sandesh, burfi. The Supreme Lord he can enjoy in that way. After taking the hot milk and the sweet rice and the burfi, then Pujari does the hastamukha prakshalanam, washes the mouth, the hands, and then curtains open. And all the devotees are assembled, glorifying Guru, glorifying Lord Hari. So at that time, the Lord bestows benediction. At that time, he's very satisfied. At that time. And anyone who's there, standing, chanting his name, dancing, they get blessed. This is the importance of attending Mangala Arati. One can be blessed. And the sweet rice is essential. So Mishra Purandra says to Sachima, you cook this item, the sweet rice. And tomorrow, I will do special puja of our Shalagram Shila. Jagannath Mishra, he's a Brahmin, and he's worshipping Shalagram Shila. So the next day, Sachimata, she cooked a sweet rice in ghee, and Jagannath Mishra, he performed a Panchagabhya Abhishek. Panchagabhya Abhishek of Shalagram, Damodar Shalagram Shiva. Panchagabhya Abhishek means 5 items from the cow. Milk, yogurt, ghee, cow gomutra is cow urine, and gobur is cow dung. These 5 items are highly auspicious, and they're used in worshipping the deity Abhishek, Panchagabhya Abhishek. So even though the Supreme Personality of Godhead is living in his home as his child, and he's running around the house, leaving his transcendental footprints, Jagannath Mishra is thinking that the deity has come off the altar and is going around, wandering around the house. This is the transcendental Leela. He's not thinking that our Nimai is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The thought doesn't enter. This is called Poganda Leela. This is called Gold Poganda Leela. The childhood pastimes of Gaurasunda before he's 5 years old. He actually, interestingly, he displays many leelas which indicate that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead at that time. Just like at that time, when Jagannath Mishra is doing the arati and worshipping the Shalagram Shila Panchagabhya, Vishwambar, he's sitting and he's smiling, participating in the ceremony, sitting and smiling, seeing his father worship the Shalagram Shila. And he was naughty, Vishwambar was naughty. He would see the birds in the sky and he would call out, give me the bird, give me the birds, I want the birds. And unable to get the birds, he would cry and make a tantrum. Cry, make a tantrum. And he would see the stars and the moon in the sky and he would say, I want the moon, I want the moon, give me the moon. And he would cry. And the devotees would say, yes, yes, dear child, whatever you want we will give, but just don't cry. But in this way he would cry, give me the moon, give me the moon. So then the village ladies of Navadeep, they began to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. And whilst chanting the name of Lord Hari, then Nimai, he would stop crying. In this way, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his comments on this Leela, he explains that in this way, Gaurasundar is inaugurating the Sankirtan movement even in his childhood pastimes. And as one time, in spite of incessantly chanting the holy names, the ladies in the village, Nimai would not stop crying. One time. And the ladies are saying, what is it? What can we do? What do you want? What can we do? And he said, this is very interesting. Oh, Gaur Bhaktagan. Listen very attentively. This is a very interesting story. At this age, young Nimai, he said, if you want to appease my mind, and if you want to make me healthy, then, he said, I am very attracted to the devotion of Hiranya and Jagadish Pandit. Hiranya and Jagadish Pandit, they were intimate friends of Jagannath Mishra, and they were pure devotees. And Vishwambar, he said, I'm very much attracted. All of a sudden he's crying. Just imagine this. Child's crying. All of a sudden he says, I'm very attracted to the devotion of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit, and I want to eat their offerings. And hearing that I want to eat their offerings means I want to eat the bhoga. I want to eat the bhoga. And hearing this, the Sachimata, she was saying, what is this? First she's thinking this is completely forbidden in the Shastra. And then we've never heard such a thing. To feed the child the unoffered bhoga. Aradhya, you know the difference between prasad and bhoga. And what's the difference? Which one?
The one which is prasada, and bhoga is Krishna.
So do you eat bhoga? No. Okay. So can you imagine the child is saying, I want to eat the bhoga, and says, this is forbidden in the Shastra, and also we never heard such a thing. Now, Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit, they heard the news that Nimai was desiring to eat their offerings, and they were fascinated by this. How is it that the child knew on this, it was Ekadashi day, how is it that the child knew that we had cooked special offerings for Lord Vishnu? And how is it that the child knew about this? And they became inspired. Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit, they concluded that Lord Narayan is speaking through this child. And they brought the unoffered food. And they offered it to Nimai. And Nimai ate that food. As described, that he was very happily eating the different offerings, and some of the prasad, some of the bhoga, prasad is prasad. It fell here and there, and also touched the bodies of the Navadip-vasis. Could you imagine such a thing? A child in our community says, all of a sudden, I want to eat offerings, and mentions the names. And then we actually go and that devotees, they bring the offerings. You imagine such a thing happening in the community? Extraordinary. So, in this way, Gaur Sundur, he actually, in this childhood leela, he's actually establishing himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shortly after that incident, also, as we were discussing, I think yesterday, we were discussing that Nimai performed other extraordinary pastimes. Extraordinary, he performed his Ganga Leela, where he was, I won't go again repeating, but we heard the different Brahmins as they came and approached Jagannath Mishra and they complained. And going to the Ganga looking for Nimai, not finding him, and then returning home, and then Nimai is returning on another road. Vrindavandas Thakur describes that Nimai looked like a champa flower, a golden champa flower, which was surrounded by bumblebees, in his golden form, with the blotches of ink on his cloth. blotches of ink coming from studying. He was studying at the school of Gangadas Pandit. So as he's walking down the road in golden form with his dhoti nicely tied, and his long black hair tied in a knot, and his decorations, and his tilak on his forehead, he looked like a golden champa flower which is surrounded by black bumblebees. And Jagannath Mishra, he took him on his lap and he says, what type of child are you? And you're disturbing the Brahmins when they're taking their bath in this way. When Jagannath Mishra actually, he came to the Ganga looking for Nimai with a stick in his hands, at that time, the Brahmins said, oh Mishra Purandra, we will accompany you home, just in case you do anything to Nimai which later you will regret. And they said, actually, the Brahmins said at that time, they said, actually, our complaints to you were simply in jest. In other words, we were joking. And they said, because we know that Nimai is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know that Nimai is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you are the most fortunate because the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared in your home. So in spite of so many indications that Nimai is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Navadip Bashi said that they forget. They forget. And he doesn't think, they do not think that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Gaurashandur, he performs the Vidya Lila. And he's studying many years, and then he's teaching. And even he would meet the Vaishnavas. And he would argue with the Vaishnavas. One time, Nimai Pandit, Vishrambar Dvijamani, the crest jewel of the Navadip Brahmins, he was walking on the road with his students, and they saw coming on the road the Vaishnavas, a group of Vaishnavas. And seeing Nimai with his students, the Vaishnavas, they went in a different direction. And Nimai turns to his students and he says, Hare, what is this? These Vaishnavas seeing me, they're going in a different direction. So one student said to Vishrambar, he said, perhaps they had some urgent business that had to be seen to. And Vishrambar said, no, I know why they are going in another direction, because they are only interested in talking about Krishna. And they do not want to discuss with me a different grammar and other different academic subjects. So he's arguing with the Vaishnavas. And this is very interesting. Why is this? He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why he's doing the Vidya Lila and covering himself? In the beginning, in his childhood pastimes, he's displaying his opulence as the Supreme Lord. And then during the Vidya Lila, he's covering that. Why? Because it's increasing the desire of the Navadip Basis. They're simply meditating, they're being chastised, they're being criticized, they're being humiliated, they're being minimized by the Brahmins, by the Pandits, the Smartas in Navadip. And they're chastising them. And they're saying, Lord, just see those who are worshipping Bhavani, just see the opulence they're enjoying. And you Vaishnavas, you're chanting Hare, 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 but you're living in such impoverished condition. And in this way they're being chastised, criticized, minimized, and constantly by the Navadip Smartas. And the Vaishnavas are simply desiring, if Nimai Pandit were to become a Vaishnava, then he would smash the heads of all of these atheists and Smartas. In fact, the Vaishnavas would prostrate themselves on the bank of Ganga. They would prostrate themselves on the bank of Ganga. And they would pray, Oh Ma Ganga, please bless Vishrambar and make him a Vaishnava, make him a devotee. They would pray. And in this way, this was simply the meditation, because Vishrambar, even though he was doing the Vidya Lila, the Vaishnavas could never forget. He could not get him out of his mind. Vishwarup, is Nityananda Prakash. He's the elder brother of Nimai, Vishwambara. Vishwarup, he's Nityananda Prakash. Every day he would rise early, he would take Ganga Snan, and then he would do puja, and then he would go to the house of Advaita Goshai, Advaita Bhavan, and Sachi Anga, and they're very close, a few meters. The birthplace of Srimad Mahaprabhu and Advaita Bhavan. Advaita Thakur, he had a home in Navadip and he had a home in Shantipur. His original home is in Bangladesh, Srihatta. And he went to Navadip. Many of the eternal associates, Gaurang Gerashungi Gone Hitta Shitta Kori Mane, the eternal associates of Srimad Mahaprabhu, they were born all throughout Bengal. And they converged on Navadip Dham, on the bank of Ganga, to participate in the pastimes of the Gaura Lila. So Vishwarup, he would every day go to Advaita Thakur's house and discuss philosophy, Gita, Bhagavad Gita. His Vishwarup's recitation and discussion on Gita was so sweet and so attractive that when Vishwarup would come, Advaita Goswami himself would interrupt his puja to hear from Vishwarup. He would stop his puja to hear from Vishwarup. This is indicating that the Shravana Ponta, the hearing, is the most important item of sadhana. Shravana Dishuddha Chitte Kurara Udhoy. In his teachings to Sanatana Goswami, Mahaprabhu is explaining Shravana Shuddha Chitte. That principally by hearing Shravanadi, on the basis of hearing Shravanadi, Shuddha Chitte, Chitta becomes Shuddha, heart becomes purified, Kuraya Udai, and the love for Krishna automatically awakens as a result of hearing Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte. So more important to hear than to do puja. More important to hear than to do puja. Or we do puja, but we don't compromise hearing. Hearing is most important. Hearing means Shravan Kirtan, hearing means chanting, hearing means japa as hearing. Bhagavat Katha Shravan, Bhagavat Shravan is hearing, preaching is hearing. Katyantashchamam Nityam. This is the fundamental process of the Vaishnavas, hearing and chanting. And Sachimata, she sent Vishwambara at lunchtime, before lunch, she sent Vishwambara to the house of Advaita Thakur. Bring your brother for lunch. And Vishwambara, again, a small boy, just with a cloth, a waist, this string tied around his waist, his golden form covered with the dust of Navadip. And he would come and he would call his brother and he would say, Mother is calling. He would hold the dhoti of Vishwarup. He would pull the dhoti. Vishwarup was 9 years older than Nimai. Nimai would pull the dhoti and say, come for lunch. Mother is calling. When the assembly of the Vaishnavas at Advaita Bhavan, they saw the Nimai come and appear and holding on to the dhoti, they all became stunned. And even the discussions of Hari Katha stopped. And they simply looked at that boy. They simply looked at that boy. And they think, what is this? You know, we're in Maya. We're in Maya. Snap out of it. But they're completely enchanted seeing his form. And later, at that time, Advaita Goswami commented that a Bala Prakritanayi, he's not a material being, Advaita Goswami. And then many years passed while Nimai was performing the Vidya Lila. And he became a great, he would challenge all of the Bhattacharyas and the Mishras in Navadip, and he would say, these rascals, they accept the name Pandit, they accept the name Bhattacharya, and they do not know anything. Who can refute my arguments? He would challenge and debate the different Brahmin Pandits. He would defeat them, and then he would again pose new arguments, defeating the arguments he made. And then again, he would again defeat those arguments and re-establish the original proposition. And at this time, they're all just simply scratching their head, unable to say anything. And a great big Vijay Pandit, he came. At this time also, Mahaprabhu not displaying his pastimes as Bhakta Rupa, a big Vijay Pandit. And so there was such intensity that when Mahaprabhu he became Vaishnava, we also discussed that the other day, standing in the Kunda Gach at the house of Srivas Thakur and Sriram. Did you hear the news? Nimai has become a Vaishnava. So that was very exciting. But shortly after that, not only did Nimai begin his pastimes as a Vaishnava, he began to display his opulence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At first they're thinking he's a teacher. Then he becomes a Vaishnava, and then he begins to reveal that he's not just an ordinary Vaishnava, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is creating such a climactic impact when Nimai begins to reveal his opulence. He was wandering on the bank of Ganga, and he saw the cows playing on the bank of Ganga. Some calves were there, and they were like calves do with their head, they're butting the adha, the milk bags of the mother cows, sucking the milk. Some calves were jumping, some were chewing the grass. Seeing this, Vishwambhar, he became overwhelmed with the feelings of Vrindavan and Sri Hari. And he began calling out, I am he! I am he! And from the bank of the Ganga he ran. Big arms, you can just imagine. Long, his arms extending along. He's 7 foot tall, Gauranga. And he's with his long, darkish hair waving, blowing, and his dhoti flowing in the breezes. He's running to the house of Srivas Thakur. And Srivas Thakur is inside the house worshipping, inside the temple worshipping. And Vishwambhar, he reaches the temple of Srivas Thakur and he begins kicking the door. Could you imagine pujaris, you're in the temple doing worship and someone is outside kicking the door? Boom, 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 boom. And he calls out, Kaha puja poro, kaha dhyan. Who are you worshipping? Who are you meditating upon? Jaha puja, taha vidyaman. That person you are worshipping, he is present here. He is present here. Vishwambhar opens, Srivas Thakur opens the door and he sees that Deki Birashane, he's sitting in the Birashane pose. Deki Birashane Ache Vishwambhar Chaturbuj Shankar Chakra Dara Padmadhar. He sees him sitting there in four-arm form. Nimai, he's displaying 4 arms as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is the beginning of Srimad Mahaprabhu revealing himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, first to Srivas Thakur, and then to Sri Advaita Goswami. Once Nimai, he goes to the house of Advaita Thakur. Advaita Thakur is worshipping Lord Hari, doing puja. He's worshipping. He's raising his hands and he's crying, Hari, 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 Hari. And as he's worshipping, the tears are flowing down his eyes. Now this is worship of the Supreme Lord. Satatam Tesham Satata Juktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Worship means full of love, full of devotion. As Advaita Thakur is worshipping Lord Hari, he's crying in ecstasy, the tears are flowing down his eyes. This is his daily puja. And seeing this puja of Advaita Thakur, Gaur Shundur, he falls down unconscious. Falls down unconscious. And seeing that, Advaita Goswami, he immediately takes the items which he was using for the worship of Lord Hari, and he begins to worship Nimai. And he says, for so many days, for so many years, you have cheated me, but now you're not going to cheat me anymore. He begins worshipping. Because from the very beginning, Advaita Goswami, he could recognize that this child is the incarnation of Lord Hari, whom we called for, whom we cried for, whom we prayed for. And Gadadhar Pandit, he's standing there and he's scratching his head. He says, Thakur, such respect, such worship for young Nimai is not appropriate. And Advaita Thakur replies, you're still thinking that he's a mere lad? He is the incarnation for the age. And this this way, gradually, Śrīmad Mahaprabhu, he revealed himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and inaugurated the Panchatattva and the Sankirtan movement in Navadip Dham. So this is the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have to practice Krishna consciousness. We have to hear about Lord Hare. We have to hear about his pastimes. We have to awaken our love and appreciation. As we sang this morning, Gauranga Gune Te Jure Nitashi Taresh Pure. When you appreciate Gauranga Gun, the qualities of Gauranga, when you appreciate them, Gauranga Gune Te Jure, those who cry upon contemplating the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nita Shita Korimane, for them the transcendental pastimes of Vrindavan are revealed. So this is preaching Krishna consciousness. We have to absorb our minds in the pastimes of the Lord, in the name of the Lord, in the qualities of the Lord, in the service of the Lord, and spread Krishna consciousness by our own behavior and by our efforts of preaching Krishna consciousness in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This is the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. Is there any question on today's verses of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam? Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for a wonderful class. It says that the holy name of God will be heard in every town and village. And this is more a practical question, that during preaching sometimes we meet many people on the streets and they say before, like 40 years ago, we used to come out and they used to hear the holy name all the time. But now they ask me like, I thought you guys were dead now, we haven't heard you for so long, and the young people don't know about us at all, like so many young people. So I'm quite bewildered by this, because isn't it supposed to increase since Srila Prabhupada inaugurated this movement, and now it's just seems like it's lost the fire or something. So I'm bewildered by this. I'm bewildered by this.
So don't be bewildered. Just go on Sankirtan. No, there's no restriction. You take some devotees, you go out every day. No one will stop you. The temple president won't stop you. Temple commander won't stop you. You're saying, oh, we're not doing Harinam on the streets. So do Harinam. Why not every day? You'd have to be enthusiastic. Prana cheshe procha hetu. Prabhupada would regularly quote this comment by Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prana cheshe procha hetu. That means enthusiasm is the essence of preaching. Enthusiasm. So you just take Mridanga, Kartals, take 2-3 devotees, go every day. Don't become a solution. Don't just be bewildered. Become a solution. Do Harinam. No reason why we can't do Harinam every day. Other questions? Yeah.
Thanks for the...
Even one person in Soho Street, I used to visit London, and every day they would do Harinam. And sometimes it's just 1-2 devotees. One Mridanga, one Kartals. But that has such potency. To tell you the truth, before joining this movement in this temple in 1985, on Prabhupada's appearance day, I was a student at RMIT. And I was living in Paran. And every afternoon I would ride my bicycle from RMIT to Paran to go back to where we were staying. And at that time it so happened my class would finish at about 3-4 o'clock. And almost every afternoon when I was riding through the city, I would hear the Kartals of the devotees who had been in Crossways and had gone out and gone on Kirtan after Crossways they would go on, sometimes just a small group of devotees. But that transcendental sound of Hare Kirtan, it entered my ear and awoken my Krishna consciousness. So we can never underestimate the potency of the Naga Kirtan, the street chanting. It will awaken the Krishna consciousness, and something we have to increase. And also here we're hearing so much book distribution. It's called Brihatmadamba. There's even more. So we may not be able to see the result immediately, but this is purifying the whole of the planet, the whole of the land, the whole of the city. We just carry on. Sometimes the Sankirtan movement may be overflowing, like Ganga, Ma-Ganga. You can go to South Kolkata at the Ganga Shagar. You cannot see the other side of Ganga. She's 7-8 kilometers wide. She's so broad, you cannot see the other side. But you can go to Uttarakhand in the Himalayas and you can see Ganga. She's just this wide. She's this wide from this side of this temple room. So sometimes a river can be thin and small and sometimes can be overflowing, but she's still flowing. So that happens. So it may be a period where we're expanding in different direction these days, expanding in different direction. But certainly we agree totally there should be an increase in the Nam Sankirtan on the streets. And we encourage you to do that. Take up the mission. You're a young man. You can do. Other question? Yes.
You were explaining about the Gaur Lila, about Mahaprabhu's childhood pastime then as a scholar. What was the incident that actually changed Mahaprabhu from a scholarly Brahmana perspective to a Vaishnava?
He went to Gaya in order to perform the Shraddha for Jagannath Mishra, who had departed. And at Gaya down, upon seeing the imprint of the lotus feet of Sri Madhusudana, or Gaya Sur is a demon in Gaya, and Sri Madhusudana, Lord Hare, he put his feet on the head of that demon and pushed him down below the earth. So at Gaya down you can see the imprint of the lotus feet of Sri Madhusudana. You can go and see that place. We encourage you to visit. You went to that? That's nice. They're very appreciative of ISKCON devotees, regardless of your skin color. They're very appreciative. And you can go into that temple, you can do the Shraddha, and then you can do everything, and then they'll put your head on the lotus feet of Madhusudana. They'll put your head, they'll force your head. It's a very, very transcendental place. And upon visiting Gayadam, actually just seeing, it describes when Gaur Shundur, when he arrived, and he saw all of those Brahmins sitting around the lotus feet of Lord Hari, and they were the pile of the flower garlands and the prasad and the incense, and the Brahmins were chanting the mantras, Samashritaye Padavallava Plavam Mahatpadam Punya Jashomarari Bhavam Bhuriva Tsapadam Param Padam 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 Yadvi Padam Natesham. Take shelter of the lotus feet of Marari, which are like a boat which can cross, on which you can cross the ocean material existence. That Vatsapadam, the sufferings in the material world become like the water contained in the footprint of a calf. And hearing these verses in glorification of Lord Hari's lotus feet, Gaur Shundur, he became overwhelmed. He became overwhelmed, and at that time he began manifesting, revealing the ecstatic symptoms of love for Krishna. And the Brahmins were astounded. They'd never seen such a display of love of Godhead, the tears flowing from his eyes like inundating Ganga, and the horripilation and eruptions in his body just by hearing the glorification of the Lord Hari's lotus feet and seeing the lotus feet of Lord Hari. So the eruptions of love of Godhead began manifesting. At that time, Sri Ishvara Puri Prabhupada was also present. Sri Ishvara Puri Prabhupada the previous evening had a dream. In the dream, a effulgent Brahmin said, tomorrow you will see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Puri, seeing Mahaprabhu and these transcendental manifestations, he recognized. And then, prior already they had a relationship, because Ishvara Puri had been in Navadip Dham for 8 months, and every day, Gaur Shundur, he heard Harikatha from Ishvara Puri. So already they were related, and at that time, Vishwambar, he approached Ishvara Puri and said, you please initiate me in Vaishnava mantra. And Ishvara Puri commented, you asking me for Vaishnava mantra? I will give you my soul, I will give you my life. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he initiated him, and at that time we also discussed a couple of days ago. That after that experience, he came back, he was a changed person, completely changed. Śrīmad couldn't even recognize. He'd completely become overwhelmed. Jopati mantra, korele bhalo. We discussed a couple of days ago. So that was the incident. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Gita, Śrīla Prabhupada Gita, Susinita Gaur, Shikhanata, Brahmachari